morning. This is High Impact Television, and the program is Tea or Coffee. Today, we have an interesting topic that we want to talk about. Which, do you have children in the house? Please bring them to, let them watch the television, because it doesn't matter if they're reading right now, because they need to learn about this, and especially even for parents also. There are a lot of things that, happens and there are a lot of things that happen when it comes to education and school, and the parents just feel, okay, maybe it's because of the time we're in now. Those are the things that should happen. But there's some basic things that as a parent or as a student that you need to know about education, and definitely that's what we will talk about today on Tea or Coffee. When you were in secondary school or primary school, what was your favorite subject?
English.
English?
Yes.
Why?
Because it's easy to learn.
Really? What about mathematics?
No. I didn't like maths or anything.
Why?
Anything. It was quite difficult. Like, quite difficult for me to even understand what the teacher was saying. And then you have to, add this to this. And especially when it comes to rules. Mathematics, they have a lot of rules.
The
when
Y,
this
the
is
X.
this, when X equals to Y, then do this, do that. And I'm like, can we just speak,
exactly,
simple English and let's understand?
I love stories. So literature in English was my favorite. Oh, talk about to be or not to be. That is the question. I love things like that. But we're talking education today on Tea or Coffee. We'll go on a break right now, and when we come back, we'll introduce our guest to you. Have a thrilling and bonding experience at High Impact Planet Amusement Park and Resort. Enjoy an amazing retreat in our extremely secured environment with our breathtaking rides. Set goals for the upcoming year in our convenient multi-purpose halls. Bond between team members while giving your staff a desirable treat. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
When you think about it, there's a lot to celebrate in our lives. From the smallest milestones to our biggest moments, we'll pamper you at High Impact Planet. Whatever the occasion, let's celebrate you at High Impact Planet, where fun just got real.
Welcome back. This is still Tea or Coffee on High Impact Television, and myself and Ronke, we're talking about mathematics, literature in English,
and English
language. Okay, so we have our guest in the studio already, and
all right.
Yeah.
For me, we have a guest in the studio, and she studied chemistry at the university in New York, and right now she's a social entrepreneur and an educator. Welcome, Tola Salau.
Welcome.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. You're looking gorgeous.
Yes.
Okay, I'm very sure a lot of people, they want to know more about you. Tell us a bit about you.
Okay. I am a STEM advocate. STEM stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics.
Yes, oh my God, mathematics.
Wow.
That's why I said engineer first. I am what we like to call a change agent, someone who is really concerned about issues that we have here in Nigeria, particularly in education. I run a social enterprise called Carisma4U Educational Foundation. I am the executive director and founder of that. And it is concerned with transforming how our children learn in order for them to be future ready so that they can compete globally.
All right. Okay.
yeah.
Your educational background.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I'm an engineer. My master's degree is in chemical engineering from Syracuse University, and that's in New York. And my first degree is in chemistry, and I got that from Fordham University in New York, too.
All right.
Wow.
Yep.
What about your secondary school?
I went to secondary school in Port Harcourt,
Good.
the university secondary school. And yeah, it was really good, you know, but like we know, our educational system has a lot of work that needs to be done on it.
Okay, that's why today's topic is education and literacy, and that's why we had to call Tola to come and shed more light on what you feel we're doing right and what you feel we're doing wrong when it comes to education in Nigeria. So, first thing first, what do you think?
What do
because
I
at least you schooled in Nigeria
Yes,
and outside the country.
in the beginning, my foundation, yes, was here in Nigeria. Well, what do I think? Reading actually is to the mind what exercise is to the body, and I really believe is the foundation of everything that you're doing. Comprehension, in fact, literacy, the ability to read, write, speak well, communicate effectively, is the bedrock of anything else. And that's something that we need to understand. So I was really shocked. I think it was a couple of months ago. Yes, I think it was in March that I heard that 2/5 of our children, let me break it down when I say 2/5, because a lot of people don't like fractions. 2/5 is 40%. 40% of the children that we have here in Nigeria cannot read. We have some 10 and 11-year-olds who are still learning how to sound out words.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It should not be that way. To me, that's a crisis. That's an emergency. That's something that, wow, pull out the brakes, guys. You know, you're on a train and you're going forward. You need to stop the train. We need to say, okay, what's going on? There's danger ahead. What are we going to do? Because, yes, there is danger ahead. For you to have a populace that is, I'm going to have to be very blunt, that is starkly illiterate, that's horrible. We already have a weakening economy. You're hearing a lot of employers say they don't have highly skilled. This is why the foundation is rotting. Something has to be done about it. And yes, we are going to talk about ideas and strategies that people like myself we're working on here in Nigeria, because that's the only way I see us moving and helping and advancing our children so that they can become future ready, a term that I like to use a lot.
All right. Your first degree, chemistry.
Yes.
Then second,
chemical engineering.
Chemical engineering. How?
Yeah. How come?
How come?
I've always when I was 13, I decided I wanted to become a chemical engineer. And by the time we relocated to the States, it was late in the school year. They already started doing admissions and everything way before September. We relocated August. So they've already made their decisions in concerning who they're going to admit.
Okay.
But fortunately, the school that we went to Fordham, it was an impromptu interview. I went there, I was speaking to them, telling them, look, this is what I want to do. And immediately they were impressed. So they said, you know what, we're going to put you on what we call probationary status. So they did that. And a probationary status means for a whole semester, they're going to check your grades, they're going to see your character, and they'll decide whether you can transform to be a regular student.
Okay.
So that was what ended up happening. They didn't have an engineering department, the campus where I was. So I had to start with chemistry. But you know what? In chemical engineering, a lot of what we're doing, the foundation is chemistry. If you look at the bachelor's degree program for any chemical engineering, 2/3 of it is chemistry. So me having that strong background in chemistry actually was no deterrent, was no distraction from what I was doing. In fact, looking back, I tell people, your first degree should be a place that emboldens and empowers you. Then by the time you now go on for your master's, you're really strong. You're able to cope.
All right. Okay.
So we've already said now that means chemistry was your favorite subject.
It was. It was.
Really?
I fell in love with chemistry, yes, when I was 12, and I've never looked back. Yes, it was.
Really?
Wow.
So what made it very interesting to you? Why did you like the subject? Because sometimes, you know, a lot of people, they believe that if you like the teacher, then you will like the subject.
Yes.
They are right. It does. Personal relationship does count for children when they're learning subjects. But I really believe also another part of it that we do not pay attention to is what the child likes and the connections that the child sees to the real world. The connection for me, why I fell in love with chemistry, was number one, I wanted to solve a problem. My grandmother is from the Niger Delta area, and when I used to go to see her, we used to be able to fish and get water from the water, but the water was turning black. Forget about even now. Now it's a disaster. But even then, we're talking 20 years ago, right? Yeah, 20 years, 25 years ago, it was even black then, and you couldn't get the fish anymore. And it really disturbed me, like, wow, we used to be able to fish, we used to be able to talk about going swimming in the water. We couldn't do that anymore. So I made up my mind, 12, 13, that cusp. I made up my mind that, you know, well, one of the things I would love to do is to clean up this oil spillage all over this place. And coincidentally, I started working on that issue, how many years later, on a PhD. So imagine, even at a young age, it fired me and said, you know what, this one I want to do. The application I saw, the only field that I saw that was brought immediate application to that was chemical engineering. And the immediate thing that I saw that could solve it was chemistry, because chemistry is interaction of matter, interaction of everything around us, solutions. It was the only thing.
Wow.
All right. You, as an educator, what do you think that we should do right now to help the children that are in school, to help the students in school right now?
There's so much that we could do for our children. And I tell people, just 2 weeks ago, I was at a hotel for an ICT conference. Yes, it was an ICT conference. And we're talking about ICT and the connection with education. And I'm happy that we had that dialogue, because it's something that needs to be talked about. And it's coincidentally also brought in issues of literacy and, of course, STEM. And I mentioned to the people who were there, said, you know, a lot of times when we're pointing fingers, we point fingers at the teachers, we point fingers at the students. But you see, it's a trinity. Education is a trinity. And the third party that we keep forgetting that we should bring into the dialogue are the parents. So I address them there, that parents, you are the first contact with your children before they go to the classroom to their teachers. So the parents need to spend more time talking to their children about connections that they see to the real world, talking to them about what they see in the news, reading to them. It's really important for you to make that effort to read. And then let the child see that you read. Because remember, parents are their role models. To me, once we start little, I would say steps, because they're steps, little steps like that, we begin to combat this scourge, because it is a scourge of literacy, or illiteracy actually, because it's illiteracy of illiteracy. It's horrible. How can you have 40% of children not reading? I'm serious. That means they are walking past you, they can't see signs. They can't read and see what's going on around them. I don't know why we don't understand how disastrous that is. I have to use that word. It's disastrous. So the parents getting involved, the parents reading to the children, the parents making that effort to the children. We'll come to the teachers and students. Okay, so to the teachers, they have to make concerted efforts. And this is why I love the work we do in STEM. We don't just focus on one subject. We focus on how all the subjects are interwoven and they all blend and boost each other up. Literacy is communication, like I said earlier. In every single subject, every teacher should make efforts to constantly encourage the children's communication skills to be boosted more and more and more. So there should be more literacy. Whether you're teaching social studies, whether you're teaching home economics, every single subject, there should be this effort to just drive literacy, drive our children to reading more, presenting, speaking, writing constantly. So that's teachers.
What
go ahead.
The situation where maybe I finished from university and I'm looking for a job and I just got a teaching job from one of the schools because I really don't like to teach, but I just want money. So what am I going to impart into the lives of those students that I'm teaching at that particular time?
I know. That's one of the disasters we have too. One of the ticking time bombs we have. Because like I was saying also at that conference, you can't give what you don't have.
Yeah.
But you see, since they are already in contact with the children, they do also have to boost them. So you see, they're blessed. We're in an era now where everything is on the internet. On Facebook, there are groups. On WhatsApp, there are groups. You can equip yourself. You are with these children. You don't have a choice. You have to put something into them. You do. You are with them. They're giving you a salary. That's your job. Whether you like it or not, it's your job. It's the career you have now. So you have to impart something to them. Equip yourself, boost yourself. It doesn't cost that much anymore. A lot of videos are for free on YouTube. Watch them. Read Coursera, Udemy, go on them. Boost yourself. Boost yourself. teach and give what you have to the children. Now, for the children, the other two parts of the Trinity, they need to help the children. That's the parents and the teachers. They need to help the children. They need to explain to them why it's important. You see, children, when you really take the time to explain to them necessity and the importance and then make that connection to them, remember, everybody inherently is selfish. What is in it for me? It is. What is in it for me? This is why it's important that you read. This is why it's important that you know how to write well. Make that case. Really hone at it. Go at it non-stop. Trust me, the child will go with you.
I watched a seminar one time, a few months ago. The lady was talking about the educational system, and she said that when she was growing up, she heard A plus apple, B for ball. And she doesn't even know what apple is in the first instance. We are using the foreign knowledge to teach our local, we are localizing foreign knowledge, which we don't even understand it. Do you think that way of teaching, maybe when we just import the style and the form of teaching, do you think it's good for the society, or do you think that should be the right way?
I actually watched that seminar. I can't remember her name right now. It was a TEDx talk. She was fantastic. Yes, I agree with her. Localizing knowledge, fantastic. I just mentioned that. Connections, relevance. Instead of using A for apple, use A for abalumo. That's something that they eat.
Yeah.
And they know, well, abalumo is Yoruba. Okay, we'll find an A word that we use here in Nigeria, but you get the point. I'm glad we do have apples here now, so I guess apple could work now. But the point is, localizing context, localizing knowledge, yes, it does really help. Particularly to children who, quote unquote, have not been exposed to other foreign influences. But on the reverse, a lot of us are exposed to foreign influences, whether we like it or not. We all watch movies. A lot of us watch foreign movies. Even the so-called, how would I call it, poverty-stricken, should I use that word? Yeah, I can. Children, they all watch movies. All of us love movies, so yeah, why not?
Okay. So let's talk about studies in our educational system. At what point, where exactly is the problem? Because we're talking about 40% of children not being able to read. So where does the problem start? Is this the primary school? Is it the secondary school or university?
When you're building a house, what do you build first?
The foundation, of course.
So the problem comes from the early years. If you do not tap and build the child right from the early years, forget it. Child is gone. Same with reading. When do you start getting them to sound and to identify words around them? So when they're young. When they're older, not that they can't do it, it's possible. It's harder. It's a harder task. Once you get them when you're young, that's why I keep screaming, catch them young, catch them young. Both with literacy, both with math, and with STEM. Catch them young. So yeah. There's so much work to be done.
Yeah, that's so
40%. True. I mean, could you imagine? Even if it were 1%, it's still bad. Even if it were 5, but 40.
All right. So what do you think is the way forward right now? What do you think?
The way forward will be for parents to make a decision that this should not be the status quo. And I mean, I know that's why we have private schools proliferating all over the place. But even that apparently is not solving the issue.
It's not.
And a lot of times it's not my children, it's other people's children. But guess what? Your children are going to have to be in contact with those other children. So yes, we're equipping and boosting our private schools, but our public schools, we shouldn't totally turn our backs on them because they are also our children too. So everybody, realizing that we all need to putting back into the public sector too,
Yeah.
So how do we go about that? Policies, it comes back to policies. When we're voting, these are issues that we're supposed to hold the policy stakeholders, our politicians, we're supposed to hold them to. Now I'm beginning to hear them talk about education because election is right on the corner next year.
Yeah.
I'm beginning to hear some people mention things about education and I'm laughing. But you see, it's not enough just to mouth and tell us. Tell us and we're going to hold you accountable that this is exactly what you're going to do. So we the parents, that's what we need to do.
All right.
For the teachers, I already mentioned what the teachers need to do. The teachers can't continue as business as usual. Things have to change.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, like according to the research you read from like 2012, 83% of the students failed maths and English. Even right now, 83% failed WAEC. And for me, I still don't believe that students are being taught the right way. So if they've not been taught the right way, or majority of the students have not been taught, or some parts, some minority, let's even put it that way, and still we are getting 83% failure. What is it right for government to allow schools to just spring up anywhere? You will see a tiny shed. They will call it Aderonke International School. Government approved bus. You will see this stuff. Do you think is the right way? And if not, what should we do?
There needs to be more regulation, yes, in education. There's no question about it. But it's just one of the symptoms of the failure of things, systems across the board in this nation. But going back to the exams, with students failing the exams, that one too has a lot of roots in the systemic failure too. A lot of things are going on, one of which you just mentioned, teachers who are actually not equipped to be educators in the first place. They were not trained, they were not recruited right, they were just pushed into the system. Then the environments too don't help. Like you correctly said, schools just springing up anywhere. They are not setting up for the right reasons. They're just putting any and anything together and they're calling it schooling or education. Then the exams themselves, they're not even relevant. They're not really touching on the issues that are important to the children and important to all of us. Okay. They're not really, yes. The way the subjects are being taught, we're still using the 19th, some part of the 20th century model in teaching them. Okay. And it's no longer up to date. It's no longer what the children need. They need more. They need more. Their minds, they go to school, they tune out. They totally tune out in school because they are not being engaged mentally. Okay. They are not being equipped. And then you go and ask them to take an exam, they're like, taking this exam, huh? So,
all right, so
there's no connection.
How do you think the students need to be taught?
Oh, they need to be taught in ways which is where we're pushing on more and more about STEM and boosting their skills. They need to be taught directly with skills that totally translate to what they are going to be doing eventually. Because you see, unlike, well, not you guys, let me say unlike us, when we were growing up, there were specific things you were taught, okay, that's going to translate to when you work. It doesn't go like that anymore. It's not that way. Perfect examples. I like to use social media, Google, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, all of them. If anyone told me when I was coming out of Fordham University that one of the jobs 20 years later will be a digital marketer, social media manager, programmer of that, all those things, I would have never envisioned it. Google, right when I was doing my master's, was when Google came out. And, even then, they themselves did not even really know where they were going to be, but they were constantly evolving what they were solving, the problem they were solving, and what they were doing. So there was no way of us preparing for that. But you see, the children that we have now, what we can do is, apparently we can't just teach them directly, okay, this you're going to use for that job. No. We can teach them skills that actually will help them, no matter what it is, be able to adapt. Okay. And move around them. Skills that we call 21st century learning skills, STEM skills, communication, problem solving, creative thinking, critical thinking. I mentioned problem solving already, right?
Yes.
IT savviness, lifelong learning. Lifelong learning is really important because I was asking some ladies the other day, I believe they were in their 50s or 60s. And I said, didn't all of you have to go teach yourself how to go on Facebook and Instagram? And they said, yes. I said, that's lifelong learning. That's a skill that we have to now make sure that we teach these children. Because if you did not make that decision that you're going to teach yourself how to go on Instagram, forget it.
All right. Thank you very much. Okay. We'll go on a break right now. And when we come back, we'll like to talk practicals about, especially, she hated mathematics.
Oh, good. Yeah.
And actually, I did too. So you will teach us. If you could study chemistry and engineering, then definitely you must love math.
Oh, yes, I love math.
And when we come back, we'll hear more from Tola Salau.
Walking into comfort in a safe environment is every family's dream. At High Impact Planet Resort, our fully furnished service apartment is a home away from home. Amazing views right in your luxurious world. Work out to keep fit for an amazing body at the gym. Get affordable groceries and personal care items at the supermarket. Feel relaxed and beautify yourself at the fully equipped spa. High Impact Planet. Fun just got real.
Tea or coffee on High Impact Television. Wondering why I'm laughing? Something interesting has been going on behind the camera.
Exactly.
Behind the scene. Of course, we still have Mrs. Tola Salau here, and she has been talking to us a lot. You know, I've learned a lot within that short period.
Exactly.
Okay, now we said, before we went on the break, we said we're going to talk about mathematics.
Yes.
So let me just go straight. Why is it that mathematics is
one of the most difficult, or people run away from it?
Mathematics, because when I was, from primary school, I just really never liked it.
All right.
So why is it always, a problem for most people, most students?
Okay, let me answer your question real quick.
All right.
There's a quote, okay? It says, you do not study mathematics because it helps you to build a bridge. You study mathematics because it's a poetry of the universe.
Really?
Wow.
Its beauty transcends mere things.
Wow.
William Paul Thurston.
So what happens to all the world is a stage and everybody has to take part?
Mathematics, Shakespeare. Even Shakespeare respected mathematics because mathematics is in poetry. But seriously, what this writer is trying to say is that anyhow you look at it, you can't run from math. I tell people, I want to be a fashion designer. I'm like, that's all good and dandy. But guess what? You still have math in what you're doing. No matter what it is you're doing in this life, you cannot run from the influence of mathematics. And the thing that makes me upset is that it's so beautiful, but a lot of us, because of these experiences, we're not happy with it.
Okay.
So to illustrate that I do sympathize and empathize with you, I tell people that even me, that I'm telling you that I was 12 and 13 saying I wanted to be an engineer. The part of the story that wasn't there earlier was that I said I was going to do this, but I hated math at that time. So I had to come to this intersection like, okay, wow, I've decided I want to be an engineer. This is my life, this is my calling, but I don't like math. But in everything in engineering, even science, mathematics is there. So I struggled with that for a while, but fortunately, and this is where I still come back to parents as an integral part of the Trinity I mentioned. My mom was the one who had to break down a lot of the mathematical concepts for me at home. If I didn't have a mom that was supporting me and helping me and boosting that for me, I definitely would have fallen down the wayside. Plus, she spent a considerable amount of her own salary on making sure that we had lesson teachers to constantly help us at home. But beyond that, when I was about to get into university too, I also encountered a young teacher. I actually did not go directly to university. There was a 1-year strike, ASU, and my parents were like, instead of you to sit at home, you might as well go for the pre-diploma, engage your mind. And they were right. And when I was at that program, I met this young man. He was very passionate. Teachers, remember, teachers are important too in the Trinity. And he explained a lot, and he was so passionate about it. I was like, wow, okay, this is a change. All along in secondary school, the teachers would come in, it's so difficult, it's horrible, da, da, da. And this person came, he loved it, he was happy about it. Teachers, he made a huge difference. So that's going to bring me to how do we change the mindset about for our children, is what both of you just said right now. Stop looking at math as this horrible, hard subject.
Okay.
Help them to see that it's actually creative, it's good, it's fun, it's wonderful. And how do you do that? From a very young age, you begin to teach them to see math in everything and everywhere around them. I see math. Oh, we're looking at numbers. How many times am I going to see the number 5 in the number plates? Let's estimate how much I just bought right now. How long do you think it was for us to walk down there? How fast? Things like that. Constantly let them see that math is fun. Math is around them. It's okay. Fractions. I mentioned fractions. A lot of us, we become intimidated by fractions. If you make it so comfortable that they see that fractions are about measuring, comparison. Yes, it's comparison. Trust me, it will break it down. And that a decimal is only a fraction written differently. Yes, it is. And percents are also decimals and fractions written differently too.
Okay.
So by the time you make all these games, the mystery, how difficult, how horrible is gone. And you see a part of that too comes to the second thing, mindset.
Okay.
Mindset is really, really key. The way you engage and tell a child, because a lot of this phobia, pain, anxiety was from when you were children.
Yes.
I know. Mindset. When you create that mindset, you build that mindset that, okay, it's fun, it's enjoyable, but yes, there are some parts that are hard, but you know what? Life itself too can be hard. But even with that, you tell yourself that even if I fail this, it's okay. I failed this, I'm going to try again, I'm going to do it again. We call it growth mindset. There was a Stanford psychologist, Carol Dweck, that formed that terminology. And in fact, ever since I discovered that, I was like, wow. Because all along, they've always been telling us that it's only certain people who are very good in math and the rest are like this. That's not true. Even if you're like this, if you keep encouraging yourself, keep building, keep practicing, keep telling yourself that it's okay, you failed a couple of times, you keep trying, you'll get up there. I didn't do so great when I was in secondary school in math. But I did. Eventually, I got I can't even remember what I got in WAEC, because I did my secondary school here in Nigeria. But I know that by the time I went to the States, I had all A's in my math courses, all A's. Wow. I wish I brought my transcript so I can say, hey, look. I got all A's. And the major thing, of course, teachers, I mentioned. But that mindset had changed by the time I met that young man. So that's some of the things that we need to do. Then our fixation on exams, our fixation on certificates. That creates so much anxiety for the children.
Yes.
Oh, I got a 70. Okay, yes, you got a 70. Guess what? That's not the end of it. He might, today, okay, let's say first term, the teacher focused a lot on area and did perimeter. Maybe the child is not so good in geometry. Maybe by the time the child comes to second term and the teacher is now doing percents, decimals, the child is somebody who really loves numbers. Then the child all of a sudden is now getting 80 and 90. Are you going to tell me that child, he was, because he got 70 before, he told the child he's dumb, but look, he's getting 90. Apparently, he's not dumb. It's just the topic and what he's really interested in and really good in. So translate it and say, look, you were really good with these numbers. We just need to, help you, coach you, assist you to also see connections about geometry. Look, geometry is around you. It's not so difficult. And then you encourage the child.
Okay.
So we need to move away from being so fixed on test scores, tests, exams.
Because a lot of parents, especially parents too, how can you come second? What's that?
The person that came first,
did
they have two heads?
Did they have two heads?
It's not the position that matters. I've seen, in fact, I can talk about that. I've seen some of my colleagues that when we were in secondary school, the ones that used to come first, second, and third. Now, I'm like, okay, is that really the all? Because you see, it's not coming first, second, and third. It's applying that knowledge, being able to use it and translate it to something wonderful and great. That's what makes a difference. That's what makes you a winner. Look, Elon Musk, I know, I love talking about him a lot. The reason I talk about him is, yes, he was a stellar student, but you see, it was beyond that. He applied what he knows. He actually has a PhD in physics. But it's not him having that PhD in physics or having that degree. It's the fact that he has applied what he learned and has been reading all along. Do you know a lot of what he knew in physics was self-taught? He taught himself, he read and taught himself. But even beyond that, he applied what he read and taught himself. And that's what you are all seeing in Tesla, you are seeing in SpaceX, is what he taught himself. So we need to move beyond the scores, the tests, the exams, and applying and boosting them and telling them skills. When you're working, when you're out there, solving problems. We need to do that. I know. I can go on about it.
All right. So, okay, let's say you want to teach a child that really doesn't like maths and you want to encourage. How would you?
Oh, my goodness.
Practical.
Oh, I'm very practical.
Yes.
Number one, go beyond just writing and talking. Demonstrate. Use objects. Use things around you. These are from STEM kits that I actually use when I'm working with children.
Okay.
This has to do with probability. You see, if I'm going to teach a child probability, I'm not just going to write notes and write numbers on the board. I'm actually going to bring out things like this, and I'll demonstrate and I'll show them. And immediately, that connection is there. That connection is made. Because you see, the child has actually demonstrated what I'm talking about. If I'm telling them about sample space, probability, the chance of this one not occurring, it's right here in front of them.
Okay.
I don't have to start talking to explain. They see it. They get it. They understand because they can see by me showing them. So I like to use things, and that's what STEM is about. Using your hands, working on problems, working on solving problems, solving projects. Same thing when I'm teaching area. I bring out my tape measure.
Okay.
We measure the rooms. Same with perimeter. I also like to use this. These are called geoboards to teach them about shapes. So I bring out things like this, my rulers. I use all this. I use it to teach. I don't just write and talk and talk. I actually make them carry out activities, engage their minds, think, problem solve. That's how you make a child fall in love. There's no how once a child... First of all, children love play. By me bringing this out, and they're playing indirectly.